USA, China.
Welcome to another round of World Superpowers. In the first round, we compared the US and Chinese military prowess. The US easily won that round, but China's catching up fast. This time round, Donald Trump and Xi Jinping are squaring up once again, but this time they're trading blows with WFDs, weapons of financial destruction. So, what strengths and weaknesses do they have? Well, America imports more than $500 billion worth of goods from China compared to China's $130 billion from the US. Because the US imports more, it has greater scope to add tariffs on Chinese goods, and therefore can attack for harder and longer. So far, Trump has fired off $34 billion worth of tariffs on Chinese imports, things like steel, aluminium, medical equipment, aircraft parts, and batteries. The Chinese have retaliated measure for measure with their own tariffs on $34 billion worth of US goods. They targeted soybeans, beef, and off-road vehicles. So now Trump is threatening two further waves of tariffs on another $416 billion worth of goods if the Chinese continue to retaliate. That would be pretty much using up all his firepower. China's ceiling is obviously much lower, but while they might not be able to match the US on tariffs, China can allow its currency to weaken sharply, making their goods even cheaper for Americans to buy and somewhat offsetting the effects of Trump's tariffs. So what's the damage from all of this? Well, US and Chinese consumers will have to pay eventually more for certain products. In the US, Coca-Cola will be putting up its prices because of the tariffs on Chinese aluminium. And while American steelworkers might be celebrating as steel plants reopen thanks to those tariffs on Chinese steel, farmers have been targeted by China in retaliation and are not so happy. So it's Trump to the rescue with a $12 billion subsidy shield. But how long will that last them? Meanwhile, in China, stocks have fallen so heavily that Chinese stock markets have moved from being the second biggest in the world to the third biggest, behind the US and Japan. Although it's hard to tell how much of that damage is down to the trade war and how much is because of domestic factors. Still, trade wars are complex and the effects often take years to be felt. But so far, both players are looking rather worse for wear.